Do any of you out there have a flower bed that needs a transformation? I have one. These were planted by a previous owner and I do like them. There was a lot of them. They've multiplied. However, only a few bloom, and I think it's because the roots or the tubers are buried too deep. So I'm going to relocate a few of these. I have chopped up and dug out the evergreen bushes that were here, and in their place I planted hydrangeas. You would have seen that in a previous video. These are lily of the valley. I'm going to leave these here for now, but I pull them out where I don't want them, and I kind of let them just do their own thing. They can be underneath anything else I plant or next to. They kind of fill it in. It's all the less mulch I have to use. This is also something that I don't think I want in my flower bed over here. I'm going to be getting rid of these. Don't like these at all. These do have like a purplish blue flower on them, but they are invasive and I just don't want them in this side bed. In fact, here's one that's kind of starting to bloom. I am looking to put more pinks and whites in terms of color. Here's some more of these irises, which I don't know if, I guess the previous owner had planted these, but the evergreens had kind of kept them in the shade too much, and they don't do anything either, so I might be relocating those as well. So this will be a work in progress, but today my neighbor told me that she has so many plants that need to be divided. She wants to give me a bunch. We are going to dig them up on her side and move them over here, and then I'm just going to keep adding to this and rearranging. That is just the fun part of being a gardener. My neighbor has these beautiful flowers along the edge of her lawn here in the back, and see that hole right there? She just gave me some daisies. Some white daisies are just like this one. They're getting ready to bloom. It's a perennial. So she gave me some that spread over this way. They keep filling in her garden, which is great. She has some beautiful phlox over here. This is all like whites and purples. And then, oh, Lola, are you whining?
I swear there's an animal that comes and sits in those at night.
Oh, probably. The bunnies probably love it in there. And so along this little area here, she wants to redo this area. So all the daisies that were in here, we dug up and we're going to put them on my garden, but on the side where she'll still get to see her flowers. And then over here, another hole. I'll show you that plant in a minute, and that'll also go on my side flower bed. And so she'll still get to enjoy all her flowers. I'm trying to do perennials on that side. So the next part of the video will be me and my husband digging holes and planting the plants all around. Stay tuned. This is the side flower bed that I'll be transplanting all of those flowers to. They are perennials. If you saw my previous video, I talked about hydrangeas. I have to move some of these irises. They have multiplied like crazy on this side of the garden, but almost none of them bloom because I think the roots are too deep. And then this is an invasive flower plant that I need to get out of my garden. Although it's pretty, that's all it does. There's little tiny flowers and then it's done, and then it just multiplies and takes over your garden. So the first white daisy is right here. I want to say it's a Shasta daisy, but it might not be a Shasta daisy. I'm not quite sure until I actually see the flower. And I'm going to be pulling weeds, hence this bucket. Here's the second one, very mature. Can't wait for that one. My second hydrangea, got a weed all around here. Again, some more of those invasive flowers. Now, this is also invasive, lily of the valley. If you have one plant, just one of these, it will take over an area. And for some people, that's exactly what you want. It does grow good underneath, and then that's all the less mulch. You obviously don't have to mulch this area, right? She gave me a hibiscus. So I'm going to leave the lily of the valley, but back to this. So this is a hibiscus, and now that it's in this garden and has a much bigger area to get big, it'll get big, beautiful flowers on it. Can't wait for that to bloom. And it's kind of a multicolored hibiscus flower. It's just going to be so adorable. Again, got to get rid of these invasive plants. There's some lilies back there I still have to dig out. We dug some out, and I'll show you where we planted those. There's my other hydrangea. And then, oh, so I had one small white daisy there and another one here. So in terms of planning out a garden, this is just kind of coming together as it comes together. And it is subject to change as I move along. You can always dig up and move, or in this case, like this one's big enough to be divided maybe next year, and I can put them in other areas. Now, real quick, let's go back down here. I'm going to show you up over the fence. So, in between the daylilies and my lavender right there, there are two more. You can barely see them. Maybe I'll come around the other way and show them to you. Two more white daisies. And then on this side are pink echinaceas. There should be a white daisy back here. And then, oh, it might be this one right here. And then there is some purple. It's like a mum. It'll bloom in the fall. So this entire area is eventually going to be all filled in with perennials. And then I don't have to worry about this at all. It'll just keep, blooming and be all filled in with lots of color. That was the whole point of this garden here, was to be kind of self-maintained. There used to be a giant evergreen here, and then the rest were all weeds, so I got rid of all of that. Now, I see right there's a weed. So I still have to weed a little bit, and I see that my lavender actually sprouted a baby over there. Again, these invasive purple flowers have to go. They're pretty for now, but they will take over everything, and I just don't want them, and my neighbor doesn't like them either. She has a patch that she can't get rid of, so even if I dig them up, I might be fighting it for a couple years to get rid of them. Here is the other part of the garden, the irises that got dug up. These are yellow ones, and then I have some peach ones in the back that multiplied, and I want to divide and get at least one peach one in here. I want yellow and peach here. This is the white daisy. I see there's some grass in there from the transplant. I will just have to kind of wiggle those out, because I definitely don't want grass growing in my flower bed. So this corner, I hadn't done much with it. My neighbor also gave me these, which was so nice. I love these, cactuses that survive the winters in Michigan. There's my red one, so I have green and red. This is another like perennial bed over here. And I have to show you my fuchsia. It is now blooming like crazy. I think I showed you earlier what only had like 1 or 2 flowers on it, but look at it now. There's the other one. They just look so pretty. Look, I love the purple and red, and it's just gonna keep blooming like all summer. I made the mistake of getting hanging baskets and putting them out back for a couple years in a row, so it was a multi-year mistake. And it was too hot, and they would just wilt, and they just didn't have enough water. Here they get a good enough amount of shade. These are much bigger pots. Oh, there's a dead part. I gotta cut that off. Always be trimming and inspecting your plants. It has this vine in here, and I love that it has the spikes up here. It just looks so pretty. But I can't get over the flowers, and of course, as they die, you have to deadhead them. I'll go around and do that later. But look at all these getting ready to bloom. I planted this really tiny baby hosta back here and this sedum over here. And my plan is to multiply, especially the sedum. I have that in my other garden in the back too. I want to put hostas and sedums along the side of the house as well. I want to make sure that almost all the plants on that side are perennials and low maintenance. These are low maintenance plants. And this in the middle is a echinacea. And this gets plenty of shade back here. I wasn't even sure if that echinacea would grow or get bigger and bloom. It didn't bloom last year, but it looks like it's getting ready to bloom this year, which is great. It's important to water your plants and your dogs. The next important thing is to water. My hose doesn't reach, but I can get it to reach all my plants I just put in. I got the other ones from the backyard, and then I can get the hibiscus there, and then my hydrangea, the white daisies. On the transplanted ones, I'm going to come back and water them again in a couple hours. I'm going to keep an eye on them for the rest of the day because they have transplant shock. When deadheading your fuchsia, be very careful because here's the spent flower that just fell off, but here's the next bud that'll bloom. So there's also these that are getting ready to bloom. So just be careful when you're trying to get the dead spent flowers off of your fuchsia. Here's another one that's kind of, let me see if I can pull it. I don't want to, oh, see, it came right off. And I just let them come down into my flower bed. They eventually turn into a like mulch slash dirt. Eventually they disappear and they just provide nutrients back into your flower beds. As you can see, I have leaves in there from last fall. We did not remulch this bed this year. I want those leaves to like degrade as much as possible, and then we'll mulch it next year, and that'll be a layer in between the layers of mulch, and it'll turn into some really rich dirt.